you?
Good.
Great. How are you?
I'm really, really good. And I'm very excited that Ethan reached out to me to talk with all of you guys about Barnstormers Youth Theater.
We are too.
So a little bit about me real quick. My name's Anne Marie. I am the host of Theater with a T podcast. I am editor-in-chief of Philly Life and Culture. I am currently on, well, I guess I'm on hiatus, but I am a judge for the Barrymores this year. And
Ooh.
I have a BA in theater. I haven't done much of it since college. However, I have, just not professionally in a while. But I'm very active in the community, especially Delaware County, over at Players Club of Swarthmore, doing a lot of theater, did some stuff down with Mazeppa Productions for 6 years in the summer. They were a professional house. I was an intern for a brief period at Walnut Street, worked at Media Theater. So I've got some stuff under my belt. I am very active in the community, if you will, just like you guys. But Ethan, I would love for you to tell me a little bit of the backstory, if you can, on why you started BYT.
Yeah. So I first started during their main stages because they allow me to direct their main stages there. And the president of the theater contacted me and said that he really wanted to do a youth theater because he thought that it would revitalize what we were doing or what the theater wanted to do. So we researched a lot about other theater programs, and I told him that I did not want to do it unless we could make it unique and unlike anything else, because we can't compete with a lot because of our budget, because of our space. We can't compete, so we might as well embrace what we have. So and then I contacted Kylie, and we actually met on our first audition day, which is funny. But from the beginning, we've always had the same intent of what we wanted to do, which was create this unique new program. And that's kind of how it started.
So Kylie, you've been there from the start.
Yes. So actually, I'm sorry. So I went to Ridley High School as well and was very good friends with Ethan's older sister. We're actually still best friends. So I think that's kind of how we got connected. But I was finishing up my music ed degree at Westchester last spring. And so it happened to be perfect timing. I was moving back home and looking for a job and hadn't done theater since high school. So I was super excited to do it again. And I have loved it. And I think because we have done a lot of the same theater programs that we had the same intentions, and it really worked out. It ended up being a super fun summer.
So Victoria, when did you get started with BYT?
I started last year too.
Okay, so you've been there from the inception.
Yes, I have.
So have you been an officer both years? Is this your second year as an officer or your first year?
This is actually my second year, yeah.
Okay. So why is this important to you?
All of my life I've invested into theater. It's practically all of my life, I'm going to be honest. That's all I do. And everybody has always told me that I have a lot of leadership qualities, and I never really understood that until I got these opportunities to be a BYT officer and to run certain committees at school. And that just really opened my eyes to how special this program is. And I knew from the start that I wanted to continue to be a part of it until I age out. And even after that, I'm still going to come back and work and help this program grow even bigger.
So you talk about age, since you just brought it up. We'll stick with you, Victoria. Tell me a little bit about what the age requirements are for BYT and aging out.
BYT, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Ethan. I believe it's 10 or 8 to 18.
Yeah, we do 10 to 18, yep.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, you kind of get a really large span of time to grow and make memories and create new friends. So I think it's like a perfect age span because you're mature enough to understand theater, and at the same time you can still grow. Even when you're younger, if you're like 10, 11, 12, you can still learn these amazing things that you need to know.
Amanda and Abby, you're already siblings. You're with each other at home, and now you're doing extracurricular community activities together too.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your history with theater and with BYT.
We both started theater when we were in 4th grade at elementary school. And BYT, we actually found out from Anna, one of the other officers. And we decided that it would be such a fun program to do in the summer. And we decided to audition. And it was probably one of the best decisions ever. Yeah, and we heard about it, and we were like, BYT seems like such a fun program, like it's different from the others. So we were like, let's try it out. And then we auditioned, and we were like, this is really fun. Like everyone's so close already. And then we decided to run to be an officer, and we've been officers for the last 2 years. And it's just been such a good experience.
That's wonderful. Ethan, could you hear my little computer sound that just went off?
No, I couldn't. No.
Okay, great.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Great. So Anna, tell me a little bit about your background.
So I was doing theater with all of these people at our school already, and then I heard about Barnstormers from Ethan and was interested because it seemed different from the other groups that I was previously in. So I decided to try it out and see where it went, and obviously it worked out pretty well because it's just led to some really great relationships and a really great opportunity to expand on my theater knowledge.
So one of the things in your mission statement talks about leadership. And Victoria, you talked a little bit about that too. Anybody can take this question and we can, ask each of you. But obviously, I would assume all of you are still in high school, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, except for Kylie. But with that in mind, what kind of leadership skills are you looking to possess within BYT, and what do you think you're going to take with you thereafter? What have you learned so far? Who wants to take it? Victoria.
Okay. I'm personally really invested on the behind the scenes, I like to call them, aspects of theater, but I also love to perform and stuff like that. So this past year, because of BYT and because of the leadership training that Ethan created, I got to learn the ropes of the behind the scenes, which was a beautiful thing. So now I'm more interested and invested into marketing, stage management, sound, and that is a beautiful thing. And I think this program allows everyone to get those opportunities and for them to realize the different aspects of theater and how crucial they are to putting on a show.
Yeah, Anna, you had raised your hand too.
Sorry. Yeah.
For me, I think the leadership qualities that I've picked up the most in this group is just like being understanding and respectful with everyone around you, because obviously we've got a range of different ages. So when you're dealing with younger kids, you have to be more patient with them. And I think that that's a really great skill that I picked up is just making sure I work with everyone and just really try to include everyone and be respectful with everyone.
So Ethan, explain a little bit about the program itself, how students can get involved, or children, and what you are doing to create these other leaders. Because I know you a little bit. I've seen your name around. I know that you do lighting. I know that you act, and I know that you do marketing, and your social media is great, and your video making skills are wonderful. But you obviously have to teach other people, right?
Yep.
All right. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, actually, that's what before Anna, I was going to say, because Victoria reminded me that a huge part of our program is, to me, the most important part. We value our leaders the highest, but we also, something that Kylie and I discussed for this upcoming year was creating a personalized program. So essentially what we are trying to do is, example, our lead actor in Godspell, his name's Christian. He's an amazing singer, amazing actor. He just wants to act. That's what he loves to do. He just doesn't want to do the leadership stuff, which is totally fine. So we give him an opportunity to perform and do that. But then what we do is we sit down and we say, who wants to be leaders? Who wants to do another thing? And they essentially then enter into our leadership program. And to do that, you have to do a 2-hour leadership training, which this year was virtual, unfortunately, but it was still great. And we had, I believe, 8 or maybe more than that. How many did we have? I think we had a lot. We had a lot.
Yeah, we had a pretty good portion.
More than that. I think we had whatever. We had let's say we had a lot. And they then what they do is they take this training and they have to develop their concept for a show. And then they also have to talk about, they have to learn about how our program works, inclusion, talking about collaborating, the rules and the bylaws of our program, how our officer elections work, how the positions work. And then what they do is they are accepted into our leadership program, and they get to they're eligible to hold leadership positions, to run for officers and work with us. And that's essentially how we keep our kids involved, by giving them a say, giving them a opportunity to run with it and do whatever they want. The program could be completely different in 5 years because there's different officers and different leadership. And we love that. We want that. We want whatever the kids want. And I know that's so cliche, and I know that sounds so much like what a person who's advertising for their program is going to say, but it is honestly what I always wanted out of a program. And I know you know my high school director,
Right.
and you know that I did stuff for my high school show, and that's how I learned how to do it. And just like Victoria said, she's never going to learn how to do it if she doesn't do it. None of these people are going to learn how to do it if they don't do it.
Well, I mean, it sounds to me, it is very reminiscent of another full-fledged community theater. You're a community theater within a community theater.
Right,
You just
exactly.
have age limits, which, I think is wonderful, because you're not, yes, you have adult supervision, which is now Ethan, because he is a high school graduate, and Kylie, of course. But what you have now is an opportunity to speak for students, speak for the youth. Now, I know you did Godspell, and that is definitely open to any type of age persona. Okay, you can adapt Godspell in any way you want, which is a very ambitious first outing. But from your photographs and from your media, obviously, it looks like you guys really hit it out of the park. When you say that each year it could be different, who is coming up with the programming? Now, obviously, this summer is a little different with COVID-19, right? Yeah. I understand you were going to do Little Mermaid, so that's obviously age appropriate.
Yeah.
What are you doing now, and how did you come up with that programming? Was it just you, Ethan, and Kylie, or did you have your officers get involved in that?
Yeah, so I'll just talk, and then I'll give it off to someone else if they want to talk about this. But so what we did is we met for, I think, about like 3-4 weeks, maybe 3 meetings. Yeah. Every Thursday or whatever, we met, and we did it quick because we wanted to put our thing out before. We talked about, are we going to wait until another program cancels their thing, or are we going to be a driving force in what the youth things does? And I'm proud to say that we, from my research, were one of the first in the area to post what we were going to do, which is really great. We were ahead of the game. But yeah, so what we did is we sat down and we said 2 things. We are instilling what we want to do, talking about leadership and creativity, and it has to be free. Those are the 2 things that we talked about. So there's someone, maybe Kylie, do you want to talk about how we kind of threw officers?
Sure. So like Ethan said, we have been meeting with the officers for a while. Even throughout the year, we met up a few times just to talk about how we wanted things to go, what fundraisers we wanted to do. And even when we were selecting Little Mermaid, we took a huge vote from the kids at the camp last summer to see what they wanted. And we had originally thought about doing other junior shows, but a lot of the girls who were in leadership really wanted to do Little Mermaid, and so we went with that because we valued the kids that were in the program. And so continuing into this summer, we also had to meet up with the president of Barnstormers and have meetings with him, and he is very supportive, and he is really cool with us having our own creative freedom, which has been really great. So it's been awesome to collaborate with the girls in these officer positions, as well as Ethan, especially because of COVID-19. A lot of the ideas that they came up with, I don't think I would have necessarily been able to come up with, since I work now, it's like they have been such a wonderful help in creating resources and coming up with a list of things to do. So I am really thankful that we have this big team that has put it all together.
So, Anna, why don't you tell me a little bit about the summer programming that you guys are about to offer?
So we're having a lot of events, virtual events, and virtual workshops. So our workshops, we have a range of different workshops. We have vocal workshops, acting workshops, and I think at the end we're having a technical workshop. So we can still offer that range of theater education, because that is what we strive to do. And then for the events, I think it's just a way for us to all still see each other and have fun with each other, even if we're away from each other because of this virus. So we're having a talent show, and I don't know if the virtual cabaret is happening, like if that's like official, but that was something that we discussed as well. So just like trying our best to stay connected with each other with events and workshops.
Amanda and Abby, so this one's going to be a harder question for you guys. Why BYT over some of the other theaters that are announcing their summer programming that have been established for quite some time and are also being led by theater professionals?
I think BYT over all the other programs because like you have so much fun, and since our group is small, we all are really close, which makes like what we create 10 times better. Like you can really see the chemistry that we have on stage and off the stage, and we want to obviously have people gain theater experience, but we also have like events and stuff to have fun as well as like doing theater, which we love.
Yeah. Like she said, other groups in the area have like hundreds of people who do shows, and like in that experience you don't get to know every person like personally and individually. So I feel like this program is so small that we hope to expand in the future, but since at the start it's so small that it just helped our first show go so big and knock it out of the park because everyone was so close to each other and we had close connections and we knew each other personally from school, the community, the neighborhood. Like it was just so fun working with smaller kids or older kids and becoming friends in the end.
So Victoria, how are you keeping all of this free?
Okay, so our whole kind of mission is to allow everyone to be able to participate in this. And I know we were thinking about doing a costume fee, especially because since we can't perform this year, that's definitely an issue because monetary, all that.
Yeah.
But to keep it free, we honestly rely on fundraising and we market everything. Ethan does an incredible job of making sure everything is pushed out into the public, so we have a lot of support and we get a little bit of help along the way. So when we come around to auditions and we open up our new show, kids don't have to pay a substantial, crazy amount of money, where if you went to another theater program in the area, you would have to pay $100, $200, $300. But you're getting almost, I hate to say it, but you're getting an almost even better and more thorough experience with BYT, which is why it's so important that we keep this lower in money,
cost effective.
Yeah. I also feel like I totally agree with Victoria that what she said about how we try to do that. And in terms of this summer though, if we were going to do Little Mermaid, Kylie and I are very, we weren't going to do Little Mermaid until we knew we could do it financially.
Sure.
So we embrace the fact that we don't have as much money as other programs. So we give it up to our officers and our, I don't want to say student, our youth designers to design a show on our budget. And it's like more fun. It ends up being more fun because you have to make a costume out of something else. And I'm sure you saw pictures from Godspell, and we'll show pictures from Godspell, that the costumes were, they were bright, they were fun, and they were totally designed by our kids, which is really awesome. But for our summer this year, we had to decide, we may not be able to do everything that other programs are doing, but we can do Zoom workshops, we can do Zoom hangouts and stuff like that. So yeah, we're just aware, and we make sure that we make our decisions based off what we can and what we cannot do.
Are all your workshops taught by other students?
So they're taught by, Kylie and I are going to do a lot of the acting ones, but then we will also have Christina McGovern, who who's a theater educator. We have a stage manager who's in college for stage management, so she'll be teaching that. And then we are also in the process of getting more instructors too.
I think that's a key point. For somebody who's been in the industry for quite some time and has done a lot of community level, student run, all that theater has to offer. I think it's important for everyone to know that you do have some educated instructors that are working with your program to help guide the students and then to pass along that knowledge to tag team with the leadership of your organization. I think that's very important. I think that's a value in regards to what some of the other theater companies are doing or summer programs, as to why stay in your own backyard, because there is something of value here.
Right. Yeah.
Now, what is your programming going to be during the day?
It will not be.
Okay.
We because of other programs,
Yeah.
we have specifically planned, when we did it last year too. We are always a night program.
Great.
Actually, I like what you said about we're like an inner community theater.
Yes.
That's kind of what we strive to do, is we're a night program. And yes, we do it at night. So it's actually the same nights of what we want to have rehearsals, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
That's wonderful. So so that's it, 2 days a week?
We do 2 days a week, but it's not like a camp. It's specific workshops that they sign up for. They if they only want to do acting, they only do acting. So
that's wonderful. Well, especially in regards to it being in the evening, I'm sure you already did this intentionally, but it makes you a little bit more marketable because it's an option that a lot of 10-year-olds do not have at nighttime. Yep. Some of your older, 16 and older will have some evening activities, but for that demographic, there's not a lot in the evenings for them to do.
Right.
So it's a definite plus for sure, and something that parents should really kind of sink their teeth into. Kylie, how many students do you currently have in the community, from last summer to this summer?
So last summer, I think we had about 16 kids in the program, and we kept all of those kids, and then gained a whole bunch of more kids that were signing up before, of course, we canceled Little Mermaid. But I think that those kids will hopefully come back out for for all of the workshops. In addition to that, I teach music and choir at the local Ridley Middle School, so it kind of worked out that I was able to advertise to like my 6th, 7th, and 8th graders to join as well. And I know that we got a few of the 8th graders that were really mature that I wanted to join. So that was exciting too.
Anna, because you're virtual this summer, it seems that no one will really have an issue getting to you. So location isn't really a concern. Are you guys capping out at a certain number for your workshops to keep it fruitful?
I think we're capping out at 15.
Okay.
It's 15 per workshop.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Ethan, how many total workshops are you doing?
We are doing 6 workshops.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So we're trying to, like I said, because of our money and because of what we can do, we try to minimize it to what we have. And we know that our reach isn't that big this year yet. But like Kylie said, we had almost an entire full return on our registration for Little Mermaid, which is great. So we're hoping that everyone, we're not, registration is open until literally the day before the workshop. So we're hoping that people join and for every workshop. Yeah.
So what's your marketing plan?
So what we do is we have put out to Delco. Right now, our span is just Delco. We like to know the people that are in our program, or like to get to know them so they come back. Because if they're 2 hours away, they're not going to come back when we have in-person things. So we're marketing to all of our Delco people through Facebook. We do social media. Right now, we're working on a video for like an advertisement video where we're trying to do things like interviews like this. And then we're trying to do stuff with it. We're going to try to get stuff in the newspaper and stuff like that. So.
Well, listen, I would love to throw names at you if you continue to do these types of one-on-one interviews or these roundtables, even with your students. I'm happy to come back again, but there's definitely a lot of people I know that are willing to volunteer their time to have conversations with you, your students, and the future artists. Especially right now, there's a lot of people who have a lot of free time and they just want to think creatively. So even having this conversation is something that people are clamoring for. It's super important. But women, I would like to ask you, do you have any questions for me that you want to know, or some of the tips and tricks or people I've spoken to as you go into this leadership program?
She knows a lot, guys, so ask her.
Listen, I'm super, super easy. So, for example, I was president of our children's theater organization in college, and before we started recording, I was telling you that I got these VHS tapes, and one of them was You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm like, we did this for $1,000. I'm like, and it's good.
Yeah, that's exactly how we feel.
I know what you mean.
I'm the type of person that I believe you can do theater anywhere, anytime. I also believe that there's a lot of theater out there that is overambitious and over-designed. So I'd rather somebody strip a show of everything and just tell me the story without all of the bells and whistles, because if you can't pull off the bells and whistles, don't, because it kind of lacks the integrity for your show. So do what is within your means, and as long as it's within your means, do it excellent.
Yep, that's exactly what our whole thing is. We have a motto that we say is good enough, or if good enough is not good enough. So yeah. So
I agree.
And that's what we literally, like, Kylie and I have been like stressing with our youth officers and stuff like that. Like, our expectation is high, but it's reasonable, and it's
right.
And because I am an 18-year-old. I mean, everyone knows this. I'm young, running a youth theater program. Everyone's going to judge me right away. And it wasn't until I had 1 year under my belt that you realize that not just me kids, but them, like the youth officers and stuff like that, can really do great work and can put out work that is awesome. And people are like, wow, wait, kids did this? I had so many people coming up to me, wait, your kids designed those costumes? Wait, those kids painted the set and designed the stripes and all that stuff? And I was like, yeah, they did that. So that's what makes me really proud, is that it can be youth run, and we take suggestions and we take instruction and we take leadership from professionals, and we take that, and in return, we try to do the best that we can. Because we know we're not professionals. We know that we're not.
You don't have to be.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're saying. We're hoping that people realize that we put a lot of heart in, and that our heart and our love for the program weighs a little more than our professionalism. Yeah, and I can't wait until I graduate college and I can say that I have a theater degree. But
where are you going to college, Ethan?
I'm going to Pace University for theater direction.
Oh, of course you are. Anybody have anything on the tip of their tongue? Any thoughts? Even this is your time to even throw a pitch in if you want to.
Here, I can ask. I'm actually interested in like whatever community theater and professional work that you're doing now or have done in like the last year. Personally, like I did a lot of shows, and I was actually in some operas in college, but like they didn't really have a big theater program at Westchester, and I like loved school, but that's like the one thing that I really missed out on, and I would love to get involved now that I'm living back in Ridley Park and things like that. So I was just wondering what you have.
It's actually funny because there's a lot of people that are in the Westchester network that do volunteer at Players Club of Swarthmore.
No way.
Yeah, so I met a lot of tight circle there, and they, you guys know, all it takes is one person to have a really good experience, and they take their friends and say, come over here because we can create something really awesome. So my experience with community theater, particularly, gosh, it's been 20 years. For me, one of my first directing experiences, it was professionally in regards to I was paid, but the production was not professional, if you will. It was in a church basement. But I saw what they had, and I invited some friends to come over, and those friends helped elevate the production and got the community that was already involved to another level that they weren't at before. So I try to do the same thing when I do community theater productions. Number one, I'll only do a show I know I can do. All right. So if I have to do the material justice, I also ensure that I can do it on a small budget. Because like I was saying to you before, I don't think anything should be of a disservice, and sometimes too big takes away from the story. So there's a time and a place for those kinds of things, but also in a community theater environment, it takes a lot of work to do a really, really big show, and you don't have the manpower and the hours to be able to do it. So keeping things small is always great. I'm sure Ethan will attest to lighting can do anything. So I'm a big fan of lighting designers and learning a little bit more. I wouldn't call myself a lighting designer. I would call myself a cuer. I would tell a master electrician, these are the things that I need and that I love and that I want to make happen. So can you plot that out and hang it for me? And then I'll do all the cueing. So I love doing that. A lot of the work that I've done, Kylie, I've directed several shows, but a lot of my heart lies in the behind the scenes in producing. I love to produce. I love to collaborate. collaboration is everything to me. If I don't have a good team around me that just enjoys what they do and are doing, because we're all volunteers, right? No one's getting paid.
Nope.
So the rule of thumb for me is if it's not fun, go away, get out. And that's okay. It's okay if it's not for you. And it's okay to come back when it is for you. That you were talking about Christian and he likes to act and he wants to perform. And that's okay. If the next show comes up and it's all Little Women, where is he going to be in it? Fine, take a step back. Come back when you're ready. And that's okay too. But collaboration to me is key. For example, I know most of you were involved in your high school production of Chicago last year.
Yes.
I did Chicago a couple years ago. It was, I think, the second in the area to have gotten the rights when it was finally relinquished. And I had been clamoring for that show for a while. And so it was a passion project to me. And I think that that's one of the best productions in regards to what people remember me for. But the thing I will say is that it wasn't me. That I happened to have come across and gathered some of the most wonderful people, and all of those things came into play together. That if I didn't have the right person helping me get those lights up, if I decided, let's have 2 choreographers instead of 1. It was truly a show that I cast based on what was given in front of me and not with preconceived notions. Any director, you pick a show going, can I do it? Will I have the people? Sure. But this was the first time I really went into something and catered the show around to who I had. For example, women of all ages and women of all body sizes. That the only requirement for the girls in that particular show was sex appeal, because that's part of the production. And having older women have sex appeal wearing, bodysuits, and they were stunning, really kind of drove it home. Simplicity, making the show as simple as possible, not doing what everybody expected, which was Bob Fosse choreography. It was minimal, because you don't have to do what someone else did. That's not creating art, that's just copying art. Yeah. But in art, we are taking from other things, right? What you go and you see Hamilton. How many of you seen Hamilton? Okay, well, it's coming out, Anna, on July 3rd.
I know, I'm counting on the days.
It's fine. But the best part, you're going to laugh at me, and you may lose listeners when I say this, but I did indeed fall asleep when I saw Hamilton. And here's why. Because history is not, I know, I'm sorry. Amanda's shocked. But listen, here's why. It has nothing to do with the production. It has to do with the story. So history to me and government has never been anything that I grabbed onto. However, it was the most magnificent show I've ever seen in my life, because of the costumes, because of the set, because of the direction, because of, the music. But what doesn't get enough credit is the choreography. The best role in that show is by far the Bullet. And when he was magnificent, that choreography was magnificent. And now I need to find a way to steal that concept and do another show, because everything derives from one thing to another. But to go back to Kylie, you were asking, just in general, first of all, music directors are hot. So if you want to get yourself involved throughout the year, you will be everyone's lifesaver, everyone's best friend. And I've already written down your name, and I'm sure I'll be calling you. But there's so much work, especially for music directors and vocalists in the volunteer community theater. And, listen, I'm a theater snob, just like Ethan. I know he's sweet and nice, but I know that he's a theater snob, and that's why I said yes to sitting down with you guys today. I will tell you the good community theaters. I will tell you the okay community theaters. I will tell you the great professional theaters, and so forth and so on. At the core of it, and at the core of what your program is really truly what it's about, and it's about the people who are involved in it. And if you can keep that, you guys will continue to be successful. The moment you lose it, the moment it becomes about the final product as opposed to the journey, is when you fail. That's when you get the reputation in the community theater world where you're snobs and you're cliquey, and you know what, I don't want to be a part of that. But if you keep it open and honest and diverse and inclusive, you're going to have a very, very, very long and generous lifespan in the theater world, especially in Delaware County. Victoria, your smile is so great.
Thank you.
You're
Oh my
welcome.
goodness. That
You're
just made my day.
welcome. So is there anything pressing for you guys that you really wanted to kind of go over? Is there anybody in the theater community that you've been, clamoring to meet, or theaters or shows that you've seen, and, maybe there's somebody I know and get you a hold of?
I'm not one of the kids, so I don't know, but
you are still a kid, Ethan.
I know, but I don't know if you were
anyone
aiming it at the kids.
No, everybody.
But I personally, I'm always looking to sit in on, I know right now we don't have rehearsals because of shows.
Sure.
But if you know anyone at any time, who are open to sitting in rehearsals, I did it when I was at Players Club. I would ask to just go in and sit there. But right now, as a question, I would be interested in, what do you think is the best way for young creators to, other than going out and finding a program, what do you think is the best way for them to start creating and get their voice heard creatively?
Well, I think you used the word already, and it's start. And I say that because there's a couple different things that I've learned along the way. We haven't even talked about union life and all that, but some of the things that I can impart wisdom on, especially COVID, right? If colleges aren't opening up in the fall and everything's going to be online, I'm like, save your money, go to community school and grab a couple of your credits and get them out of the way before you spend all that money. Because it's a lot of money to put in education, and you're not going to get a return on investment financially in regards to that. So that would be, a piece of advice. But it's to start. I watch a lot of this. This is specifically more to the actor types. And that's why I think BYT is really great, because you're really encouraging everybody to get involved in multiple areas, because that is what makes you successful. That is what's going to give you financial stability. If you are just going out to be an actor, what I've noticed is a lot of times 50% of the people that are out there trying aren't trying. Mm-hmm. They're waiting for someone to call them, hey, I've got this gig, come do. Or I don't want to stand in line at that audition. Or they do one show, they grab their equity card, but then they don't try thereafter, right? They don't continue to audition and to stand in the lines. A lot of the times, education doesn't teach you how grueling the business is. You have to become as marketable as you want to be. Mm-hmm. So when you say, I eat, sleep, and I breathe theater, then it doesn't matter what part of theater you're working on, as long as you're in that room, right? Mm-hmm. You smell it, you breathe it in, you absorb it. So if you want to learn about social media, then start playing. If you want to learn how to do a video, start asking questions. Download an app or two. Download how did you do that video? How did you find this music? Start asking the questions and don't wait. Try it out. Ask for feedback. Never stop and say, this is perfect. Always look at your work and go, how can I have a critical eye on this and continue to get better the next time that I do it? Know when someone else is better than you, and cling to that person and learn a little bit more, because there's always someone better than you. There's always someone that knows a little bit, and collaboration is so key. You're taking from someone else all the time. How are you taking what that person has done? Like, I watched Ethan do a video for me for company, and I'm like, okay, I think I can figure this out. I think I can do it for my next time. So I'm going to give it a try. Tap into those resources and learn. And exactly like Ethan said, hey, what's going on? Can I just sit in and watch? I was a kid of the theater. My father was an actor for years, and I would just go. I would just go with my 7-Eleven Big Gulp and just sit there and watch. And I learned by watching. It's kind of like driving a car. You learn by watching the person next to you drive. So by the time I got in a car, I already knew how to drive, because you've been watching somebody do it your whole life. So it's that same kind of idea. So the key word is to start. If you want to be a director, pick up a book. Watch how somebody does it. Continue to learn. If you want to dance, take a class. Everything is free online now. You can find anything that you want. You guys are free online. But the second thing that I would say to you, especially in order to grow, is to don't stop with one place. BYT isn't the end all be all. It's one place that's being creative and doing theater with that group of people. But there are other places that are doing the same thing. So know that you can still enrich your life and do as much as you possibly can do. You don't have to stifle yourself into one area, one place. There are so many other things. And I will say, Victoria, if you go into stage management, you're going to make a lot of money. So stick to it. Okay, I'm staring at you, but if that's something you love to do, they are a dime a dozen, and it is hard to be a great stage manager. But man, oh man, if you do, you make good money. You know, but it's a passion. You got to just keep going. So, you know, even for me, it's a do. I started a cabaret company because I wanted to. I started the podcast because I wanted to learn. I wanted to talk to more theater people. I started a review business because I wanted to go see theater for free. And I happened to write about it and people cared about my opinion. You know, everything I do a lot, and it's not about the cash. For some people it is because they need to make a living. I have a day job, which is allowing me to be able to do all this extra stuff. But, you know, I'm a full-time theater person who doesn't get paid in a full-time recruiter by day. So it's really a matter of, you want to do something, do it. You want to put on a show, put on the show. Ethan's nodding.
I do have one last question for me, at least. As a working in the community theater and, you know, going into professional or, you know, working in theater, no matter where, as an adult, and this is for all of us because we're all going to be going out and doing more theater. What is the future of theater, right? Who are you looking, what is the type of people you're looking to work with, that you're interested to work with, and what do we have to do, and what do people have to do, or what kind of people do you want?
People that are open to change. Because like I was saying before, I find, you know, an inviting community where people are open to change. Because if you're open to change, that means you can collaborate. That means you're willing to try something different and try something new. So anybody who's not set in their ways, and anybody who's willing to put in the work. So you know, sometimes it takes time, and you know, it's theater. I always say as a director, you know, the closing night of a show, that this is the only time that this group of people is going to be with each other for the rest of their lives. This group is never going to be together in the same room with this experience, because you can't take the wonderful experience to the next theater, because you got to start fresh and you got to make new relationships with each and every person. So when you go into your summer for Little Mermaid, you can't keep Godspell with you. Godspell is wrapped up in a nice bow. It's a beautiful memory, and it's there. So sometimes if you love something so much, you have to fight for it. And for myself, in some areas, I fought for it. You know, there was, when friends of mine started, you know, a production company in this city, a professional one, we did it because we wanted something different, right? Ethan and Kylie started this program because they wanted something for themselves. They wanted something different because it wasn't being offered. So it's that same kind of, you know, environment. Can I go into some place? Can I be heard? Can you hear me? And know that I'm doing it for the love of everyone around me, and that it's not a selfish endeavor. Because making art can't be selfish, because it's a way of communication. So you're not communicating to yourself. There's got to be at least one other person that's involved in the art form. That's you and the audience. So that's what I look for, Ethan.
Yeah. BYT, we want to thank you for doing this for us and talking.
Yes.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Listen, you know, if I have any type of connections, I'm happy to, you know, reach out. If you're looking for resources, or even for people to take some professional classes, or, you know, a master class, you know, reach out to me. Just get involved. Get on the Facebook groups. Figure out the ones that you can tell who really knows what they're doing, and those that don't. There's some backstage theater groups where you're just like, okay, this is like a kid who just is like, oh my gosh, I got the part in the play. And then there's others that's really informative. You just kind of, you figure it out for yourself. You follow along as you go. I join a group. If it's beneficial to me, I stay. If it's not, I go. But keep being active. And the biggest thing I will leave you with is support the arts. Don't just be a member of the arts, support it. Go and expose yourself to as many places and directors as you can. Don't get stuck into one way, because one way isn't always the right way. be open to looking at something and watching somewhere else, and then have honest conversations with your friends, man. Surround yourself by people that can talk theater with you and not glorify everything. My friends will tell you, if they ask me what I thought about a show, they need to kind of be ready to hear it. But when you're around somebody who says, oh my gosh, I loved it. I love that show. That show was great. I loved it. 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 I love that show. And I love that show. And I love the other show that I saw. They're just, they're an audience member, and they appreciate the good energy that theater gives, but they're not necessarily a theater person. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That makes perfect sense.
Doesn't make them less valuable, but if you want to have good intellectual conversation, you have to be able to be critical. And being critical is not negative. And then on the flip side, you need to be ready to hear the criticism. And as an artist, you can agree with it or not. You don't have to, but be open to it. Be open to change. Be open to learning something new for yourself and going, you know what, that blocking might have been a little bit weird. Or that person was upstaging themselves. Or, oh, that person sang that whole entire song in the dark, perhaps maybe. Or why was this color green for this song? And the song about money was in red. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, it's things like that. So be open to it. Be open to being your biggest critic, but also your biggest fan at the same time.
I love that.
And don't forget to hire me when you guys make it big. Okay?
Okay.
Please reach out to me anytime. Friend me on the Snapchat, on the Facebook, on the Instagram, on the TikTok. I have a little
yes.
I have a TikTok of me in Santa Claus clothes. Not good at TikTok, but I like to watch it. I did a production of Annie, and my orphan girls would not teach me. I'm like, you guys have to teach me how to TikTok. It's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, teach me. And they wouldn't. They wouldn't teach me. But
How can
We'll
people
teach you.
How can how can people go to your Theater with a T?
so you can at Theater with a T is our podcast. T as in drinking tea. TEA.
Okay.
If you look up the acronym, it's not good. Also, you can follow me on Instagram I'm Anne Marie, Anne with an E, Anne Marie 0817. And that's the same for Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and my Snapchat. You don't need my Snapchat. I'm never on it. But yeah. So please reach out to me. And again, if you guys come across anybody in your master classes that's in the Philadelphia community and wants to talk shop with me, I would be happy to sit down and do another podcast with them and go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. You guys enriched my heart. You really did.
No, you enriched ours. I feel so woke.
Victoria, I'm putting you in my pocket and I'm taking you home for later.
Oh, thanks. I'm taking you too.
Do me one favor. Try to find something this summer that engages the Black community. Okay, Ethan?
Mm-hmm.
Do me that one solid. Find something, find a workshop, create a class, reach out to the community nearby in Ridley and grab some kids and give them a free class, and I'm happy to participate in it.
Okay.
Reach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure
Take
thing.
care, you guys.
Thank you.
You
so
too.
much.
You too.
welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.